Hello everybody. Um, Thank you for joining me today. So I call this video The Journal of a Crazy Cat Lady or The Brevity of Life. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I call myself the Crazy Cat Lady and how that has taught me about the brevity of life and so much more. Ever since I remember, I have always loved animals, as any empathic kid out there. And I was the one who fed as many strays as possible. I would go underneath cars to rescue kittens and bring them secretly home so that my mother wouldn't know that I had a kitten. And then when the cat started meowing in my bedroom and my mom was like, "Is there a cat?" I would be like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So I still do that. Every time my husband goes out of town, I still always manage to get a new cat, to rescue a new cat from the street. So it's no wonder that I ended up having many cats, and so many others I have given away and found beautiful homes too. So I love animals and I love the lessons they teach us. They teach us about just love in the present. Love in the present. Something that is brief and that we cannot guarantee that will last for a long time. One of the experiences I remember the most was from a cat that I used to feed with for years before she felt confident enough to climb from the division of the two houses, my house and my neighbor's. It was a very tall house, and she would climb in between the two houses until she got to my bedroom, which was all the way on top. And she started visiting me every day. She was a beautiful ginger cat, and she would start visiting me every day, and she was pregnant and very old. So she gave birth to her kittens over me on my shoulders, and I rescued her. I loved her kittens madly, but then I noticed that she didn't want to feed them. She was feeling sick, and I took her to the medic, and the medic told me that she had leukemia, and if she was close to her kittens, she would pass the leukemia to them. So we had to put her to sleep, and it was one of the most painful experiences I had. I was like 12, I think. So I took care of the cats. It happened during the summer, and I took care of the kittens that were like 1 or 2 weeks old, and I would feed them every day, all day long, because they would be hungry all day long. And there was, all the way back then, there wasn't really like milk for kittens, not that I knew of, in the stores. So I had to create my own with chamomile oil and some milk diluted with the chamomile tea, not oil but tea. So it worked. I actually made them grow until they were 2 months old, more or less. And then a woman that used to work with us took them out. I remember that they had already opened their eyes, they were already walking around, but they were very small. And this woman took them out while she was washing the clothes, because she said that they needed sun, but she was washing the clothes with Clorox, and the cats were swimming in the Clorox, and I found them all dead. And I cried and I cried and I cried for days, because I had fed those kittens. I had fed her mom for years. I had rescued them, and I had taken care of them for years, for weeks, for long hours, and then they were there, just dead. And that was my first experience with the brevity of kitten love. I tried to rescue them and they ended up dying because of the ignorance of this woman. So my life kept on going with this kind of experiences, rescuing cats, loving them for a long time, many of them, giving away some of them, and losing some of them to unforeseen circumstances. And that takes me all the way to the present, when I moved to a city called Mérida. I moved with my 3 beautiful cats. I had them in my apartment in Mexico City. I didn't let them out because I had lost already a couple of cats, like literally lost. They for some reason, at some point, they were able to leave the house and they couldn't come back. So I have a hair. No, okay. So I was very careful not to let them out at all. But when we came here to Merida, we found that we had a house with a big, beautiful garden. And I really wanted my cats to enjoy a beautiful garden because they really needed that space and that playfulness. And they enjoyed their garden and their space, the new found space. And then the 3 of them were poisoned by a neighbor. One of them died. She was a Siamese, beautiful cat, so loving, so generous, so cute. And she died because of the poison, and she was the cat of my daughter. They were cats of everybody, they were family, but my daughter was so close to her. So she died, and my daughter was devastated. The other 2 cats survived. One of them was pregnant, and the other suffered a lot, like really a lot. She went blind, she couldn't walk, but she's so strong. That cat, I swear, is like a super ninja cat. And she made it back from blindness and from death. Like, it's not the only time that she came back from the claws of death. So anyway, that we come back to the fact that we had 2 cats left, and one of them was pregnant, right? The pregnant cat gave birth to 5 beautiful kittens in one bloody day. It was like literally, I had never seen, and I had seen a lot of cats giving birth, but that was like one bloody birth. She almost died during the birth. So she gave birth to 5 beautiful kittens, 3 ginger ones, no, 4 ginger ones, and 1 gray one. One of the ginger ones, remember I told you the mother was poisoned, right? So one of the ginger ones was born with a problem in his heart. So I remember him laying down a lot. We called him Fred. And I remember that Fred could lay down a lot. All day long she would spend just lying down in the bed, went down just for food and to the bathroom, and came back to the bed all day long. I thought he was a really lazy cat, but he would play a little bit and he would go downstairs, and I could see how it was difficult for him to go down or upstairs. And I didn't know he had something in his heart. I just knew that he was so tired all the time. And I remember that one time when I was lying down in my bed and he was sleeping on top of me, like his head was, he was sleeping here and his head was here, and he was looking at me. He was looking at me with such graciousness, with such love, with such interest. don't know what he told me, because he was really speaking to me in his mind, but he was really chatty. He was really connecting to me in that moment. He was really creating that beautiful connection where I felt so much love from him. I just felt seen and loved, and I just remember looking at him and thinking, oh my god, I have to keep this cat because he's so adorable. A couple of days later, I noticed that he was breathing in a very weird way, like with his, I could see his rib cage, and I thought, this is not common. Something's going on. And I remember seeing him that it would just get worse and worse. So I said, I have to take him to the doctor. And I took him and I put him in a cage, in a cat transportator, and I took him to the doctor. And I remember he started feeling so nervous. The doctor was literally in the corner. We just walked a couple of meters, just a couple of meters. When we got to the doctor's office, he passed. He just died, just right there. It was so painful. I remember crying my heart out. It was just so painful. Then, remember I told you they were 5 kittens. That was one kitten. There was another one. We called her Canelita. Canelita was the kitten equivalent of a cat with Down syndrome. And I say that in the most loving way. She had this innocence in her eyes. She had special needs, in the sense that she couldn't do the things that the other cats could do, but there was like always this smile on her face, this joyfulness, this beauty. And that's why I'm saying like she was like a kid with Down syndrome, because they have like this beautiful innocence, beautiful smiles, beautiful eyes. That's literally how she looked like in cat. I don't know what's the name of that in a cat, or if there is something similar, if there is something quite remote close to it, but it reminded us constantly of that beauty of these children. You know, that they just steal your heart away. They smile so widely, and they depend on you for a lot of things when they are smaller, and they don't develop as the others, but they are always, these cats, they are always smaller. Her legs were tinier. She couldn't climb or go downstairs. So she became like a daughter. She was not a cat, she was a daughter for us. We even carried her from place to place. She stole my heart. And you guessed it right. She died on Mother's Day. I was just sitting down after my kids left to school, because here in Mexico Mother's Day is not on Sunday necessarily. So my kids went to school, and I was sitting down in the couch, and I saw her starting to have convulsions. They were so painful to her. I could see her losing control, and sometimes there would be a drop of blood coming from her eyes, and the doctor told us that could be a tumor in her brain, but they didn't do further studies. I took her to the vet a couple of times for studies, but I didn't really get much information. So she spent a couple of very painful days where she was suffering intense pain, and we decided, after trying everything with everybody, we decided that we had to put her down, and it was the most painful experience in the world because she was not a cat, she was our younger daughter. And if you have never had a cat or a dog that you love as a son or a child, you won't get how deeply it hurts, but it really hurts. I still wonder, what if I had got the best vet in the world that maybe they could have saved her? But I didn't find anybody that could save her in the moment when it was necessary. So yeah, she died. Then there are 3 more kittens. 2 of them I gave away to a person that still has them together and they are fine. But the third was the firstborn, and he was the biggest one of them all. We called him Polvoron, and he was also a ginger cat. And he was so smart and so playful and so youthful. And since Canelita was kind of sick, we decided that we wanted to have her brother with her so that he would be taking care of her and play with her and teach her the ways of the cat. And so he was with her. He saw her die, and he lived after that. He lived for a year, being the only one left, the only kitten left. He was playful, youthful, beautiful, loving, tender. My daughter, who was heartbroken because remember that I told you her cat was the first one that was poisoned here, opened her heart back to him because he was that loving, baby, beautiful boy. And it was a very healing experience to love him that much. But he, as a very young cat, went out from time to time. No matter how much I closed my windows, and I did close my windows, he would break the freaking windshield that we use for the mosquitoes in order to be able to get out. And so I eventually gave up and allowed him to come in and out. But I made sure that every night he was here and every morning he was here. I was checking on him every day. And I thought that he was just living around the place. Like I live in a house that is inside, like a condominium, and then you have to walk a while to get out of here. So I didn't think that he was going to the street per se. I thought that he was just staying in the condominium. Or was I mistaken? So a couple of days ago, I opened the door after a night where he didn't come back to sleep. I was always checking on him. I was like, okay, here he is. He's back. I can breathe. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have sneezed on my hand. Don't look at that. It didn't happen. It's just your imagination. Okay, so I won't touch anything with my dirty hand. Anyway, he didn't come back to sleep that night, and I noticed that, but I was okay. And then, oh my God, in the morning at around 9 a.m., I went downstairs to open the door for somebody, and then he was walking very slowly, very, very slowly, and seeming like not himself. He seemed strange. He seemed weak. He seemed, weak is the word. And he was walking towards the house, and he entered, and I noticed there was something wrong. So I took him, and he bit me because he was in pain. Very gently. It was just like a don't touch me kind of bite. So I realized he was in pain, and I saw that his stomach was wide open. Ah, my God, I just took a shower. I shouldn't have come out like this. Anyway, ah, his stomach was wide open. Wide open, as in there was a part hanging from his stomach. It's very scary. And I took him to the doctor, and they saw him together. And he spent the whole day in the doctor. They were trying to stabilize him to get his shit together. And at night, I had to move him to another hospital, to a 24 hours hospital, where they realized that his lung was collapsed, that his bladder was about to explode. So they removed the air from his chest. They emptied his bladder through a medical procedure and whatever. So when he went to sleep, I felt that he was better. I really felt that he was going to make it, because he seemed like he was in less pain. His stomach was sewn from one corner to the other, like the whole stomach. It had been ripped open. Now, and he had dog bites all around. He died at 3 a.m. in the morning. His heart couldn't take it, and he died. Then I went to check out the videos, like, where was he beaten? Who beat him? Or did he fall in a neighbor's yard? Because then I will have to... Thank you so much, Robert. Because if he had fallen in a neighbor's yard, I had to talk to the neighbors to let them know what had happened. So I went and saw the videos of the condominium, and I found a couple of things that broke my heart. He was coming from the street. So it meant that he didn't fall into a neighbor's yard, but he was beaten in the street by a dog. Now, there are no strays in here. This is a zone in the city where there are no stray dogs. Should I know? I'm always rescuing animals. I always know when there's a stray dog or cat, because I'm always feeding them. So there is no stray dog around. But the time when he was beaten is the time when people go out with their dogs to walk them with a leash. Now, the dog that beat my cat was a huge freaking dog. A huge one, because my cat was already big. Pretty big. And so it meant that a big dog beat him. There are no stray dogs around here. So, and it was at the time when people walk their dogs. What does it mean? It means that somebody was walking his or her dog with a leash, because they have to, especially if it is a big dog big enough to destroy a cat the way they destroyed my cat. And if they have a leash, they shouldn't be able to take a cat like that, right? Unless, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, unless somebody actually wanted their dog to hurt my cat. Like, hey, screw over that cat and release the dog over the cat. I know it sounds terribly wrong, but I have heard people bragging about doing that. Really. Like, I have heard people bragging about training their dogs to destroy cats, or just allowing their dogs to chase a cat and destroy them. And I really think that that is what happened. Because otherwise, I mean, if you see that your dog is about to grab a cat, you hold the dog back, wouldn't you? I mean, I have had dogs as well. And I know that if you have a dog, you know when the dog is going to hunt something, and you just hold him. And if you have the dog with a leash, I mean, the cat would have needed to just pass around the dog like this in order for you not to notice when he grabbed him. So I am pretty sure, I could bet that the person that saw what happened could confirm that somebody was walking with their dog and they saw the cat nearby, and they just released the dog and allowed the dog to murder my cat. My cat made it alive, walk, I don't know for how long, until he got here. And he waited 3 hours in my door without me opening because I hadn't come downstairs, until I found him. That's what happened this couple of days. And that's the brief story of a cat lover. Now, I really wanted to say a thank you to the people that supported me, because and to compare humanity, you know, because there was this hateful person that I am pretty sure allowed his or her dog to murder my cat. But there was also a whole bunch of beautiful people who were checking out on me and my cats. Like, I wrote on my Facebook about what had happened, and I got 150 or more notes from people telling me that they are here to support me, asking me how things were going, sending me a message, sending me money for the veterinary, booking these tarot card readings to help me support the expenses, because the whole rescue trying to save his life was kind of not cheap at all. And we also thought that it could be even more expensive, because we thought that he would make it. But just the surgery and everything took a toll on my finances, and there was people just helping, because that's what people do. People helps people. People are good. It's just that the few that are not, the few that are wicked, twisted, evil, rotten, they cause a lot of damage. But most people is good. I have to remind myself that. And I have to remind my daughter of that, because all this story was to say, I have experienced life and death and the brevity of life for a long time, ever since the small kittens that I told you about when I was a kid. I have seen cats living and dying for a long time now, and I have loved them. I have learned how to love them madly for as long as they are on this earth. I have learned that I cannot take them for granted. I'm always taking pictures of them to remember them, because I know that they might stay for years, because I have had cats that lived for almost 20 years, or they can die just one given day. So I learned to enjoy their love just the moment that they are there, giving it to me, and to love them madly, to hold them in my arms and to tell them how much I love them, and to just be this fucking open heart so full of love towards them and towards those that I love. I am one person that is always telling my people, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I know some might think that I don't mean it, but I mean it so fucking badly. Some sisters, some people that I haven't seen more than once, or some people that I haven't even seen in person, but just online. And I fucking love you. And I say it with all my heart because I have learned how brief life can be, and that you need to love madly, to love deeply, to love in the present, because you don't know how long you have. Life is so brief. So tell the people that you love them, and dare to love people wildly and madly. And you're going to lose people, and you're going to lose pets, and you're going to lose loved ones, but you're going to lose them knowing that you love them madly while they were there with you. And that's what loving cats has taught me, that one has to love as long as it lasts. So thank you for joining me in this little chat. I really needed to share this, and I hope that you take something from this story. It was so lovely to just be able to share it with you. Loving you all, and I mean it.